everyone, and welcome to episode 34 of the Essential Zodiac Podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia McNulty.
And I'm Audrey Fannin.
Today we're talking about the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. But before we do that, I want to remind all of you April birthdays out there, you still have time to order your solar return reports. This report outlines the energy coming your way from this birthday to the next. Now, starting on May 1st, the offer will only be valid for May birthdays. So, April, you want to get your order in before the month ends. You can also find more information and how to order on my website under current promotions. Also, I have a spring special, a 4-month transit report for the cost of 3 months. This too can be found under current promotions. And the transit report is the specific activity of the planets for the month of May, June, July, that kind of information. So it's very handy. You'll know when the next Mercury retrograde will occur or any other positive or challenging energy coming your way. So now on to the Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse, which occurs on May 5th. So we're airing this a couple of days before that takes place, so you have a little time to prepare. Since Scorpio is an intense water sign, Scorpio full moons can be full of intense emotional energy, and that's even more so the case with a lunar eclipse. An eclipse, either lunar or solar, always amplifies the lunar energy. So you get more Scorpio for your buck. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's hard to manage because, like I said, Scorpio is an intense sign. We have little patience for superficiality, and we want to get to the heart of the matter. And that's very much a Scorpio trait to, dig deep to find, the truth. They make great detectives or researchers. Now, we may focus on issues that are taboo or that we would normally shy away from, and the Scorpio energy gives us the courage to explore some of those darker incidents. I know, talking with a lot of my friends who are therapists, social workers, and the like, that a lot of the times they get revelations from their clients during this time, especially revelations that have to do with abuse. So if you work in that field, be prepared for maybe some of your clients having the courage now to talk about an incident from their past. The eclipse comes a few days after the modern ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, now in Aquarius, turns retrograde on May 1st. So on May 1st, we have Pluto turning retrograde. Now, Pluto is freshly in Aquarius, and we're dealing with a whole new Pluto cycle. And as I've mentioned before, this cycle is brand new to everybody, including the astrologers, because Pluto takes such a long time in each sign that it's hard to know, what happened in the past. We can only go by, what had occurred. And I'll have information about this on my website in the Skywatch Journal, all about Pluto going retrograde. It's one of the few positive retrogrades, as it gives us a chance to adjust to the massive transformation we've experienced with Pluto. So it's like a pause. So we had all this new energy churning out there with Pluto, our planet of transformation. So now the retrograde gives us a pause. It gives us a chance to assimilate the changes, or it gives us a chance to deal with issues that might have come up. Now, we may be looking backward with this eclipse and reflecting on what has come to pass. We gain more insights and understanding, and this can help inform us with what we want to work on next. This is the last eclipse in Scorpio for this eclipse set. Eclipses always occur in sets of opposing signs, and we've been in the Taurus Scorpio eclipse set for a while now. With this being the last Scorpio eclipse, we may see some major wrapping up in some way. Lunar eclipses, which this one is, are times of endings and culminations anyway. But that may be extra with this eclipse. We can get things done that we've needed to get done, release something holding us back, and finally feel ready to move on. This can be a lot of help with all the new energy that is swirling around. This lunar eclipse is opposite Uranus in Taurus and Mercury retrograde in Taurus. Uranus is the planet of the sudden and unexpected. So the opposition to Uranus may show us some unexpected developments, and we may experience something new. So it's not always all bad. Something may change quite rapidly, and we have to adjust on the fly. Something may happen that impacts a wide swath of people, and we need to be flexible in how to fix it or how to embrace it. Being flexible is extra important with the opposition to the Mercury retrograde in Taurus, which is pretty fixed, stuck energy. Taurus is an earth sign. It's a fixed earth sign, which means it's stable, and sometimes stability can translate to stubbornness. So right now, with the Mercury also being retrograde, you are going to feel stuck. You're going to feel in a rut. We're going to be so frustrated thanks to the Mercury retrograde, we may lash out. Okay, so try to keep your emotions in check. You might, be frustrated by some turn of events. That is natural, but, you want to make sure you're not biting the heads off the people who love you. Have healthy outlets for your frustration before this even, becomes a problem. So we're going to take a little break, and when I come back, some tips for taking advantage of this special energy coming our way.
Stay connected with Essential Zodiac in between episodes. You can follow Cindy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Visit EssentialZodiac.com to check out the website specials this month. And while you're there, consider becoming a patron to help support production of the podcast and to get some nice perks as well. Just click on Become a Patron to get all the details. Back to you, Cindy.
Thanks, Audrey. So here are some things to meditate on and some journal props to use during this full moon lunar eclipse. So the overall themes to explore are completion, transformation, and growth. So Scorpio supports the journey through death and rebirth. And many times eclipses will enhance our courage to face our fears and give us extra energetic boost to fully let go of the past. So now is the time to get rid of whatever has been hanging around your life and is no longer serving you in a positive way. Take advantage of this energy, and it'll give you the courage to do what you have to do. So how you may feel: reclusive, sensitive, intuitive. You may be feeling a bit withdrawn currently, perhaps more sensitive physically and energetically than usual, as eclipses bring an amplitude of energy and tend to heighten sensitivity and psychic abilities. So, for you guys out there who are sensitive to energy, who are intuitive, you really may feel an upswing in your abilities. So, make sure you practice self-care. And if it gets too much, if there's too much peopling going on, don't feel bad about withdrawing from the social scene and just, have a day or even just, 2 days where, you take care of yourself. Pay attention to who you are, who you have drawn into your life at this time, as relationships in all forms are being brought to the forefront for review. So again, are you involved in a group, with a person, with even a charity that is no longer serving the purpose for you? It's time to evaluate and review those connections. And this is an excellent time to rest, journal, perform a ritual bath, or spend time near a body of water. Water is always a very soothing, calming element, and even if you can't get away to the beach, you could take a shower, take a bath, rejuvenate yourself. If you feel called, this is also an excellent time to write down a list of what you are ready to release in your life. And then, you can burn that list or you could bury it. If burning it would be, a hazard or whatever, you can always bury it. Now, here's some journal prompts for meditation, for writing in your journal. Who am I now? What relationships feel supportive in my life at this time? Who can you always count on, right? Take a look at that, and who is only around for the good times, and, when you need a shoulder, they're nowhere to be found. So, think about that. What do I not want to admit to myself? Now, that's a toughie, It's hard to look into that mirror. It's hard to probe the shadow. Trust. We've all been there, right, Audrey?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, Audrey and I have dug deep many times. So it's an unpleasant process. I grant you that. And it's a hard process. But to grow, to evolve our souls, it's unfortunately a necessary process. It's like when you're sick. You got to take the nasty tasting medicine. Well, to be better beings, we've got to look deep inside. We've got to look deep inside ourselves. What am I afraid of? It's another very good one. What am I afraid to release? I find this interesting because to release something, even though it may not be beneficial to us, means change, right? And change is difficult. Even happy change is hard. Like when you finally graduate college, there's such a sense of accomplishment, but you're going to miss all your friends, right? And you're going to miss that lifestyle. Moving into a new house, leaving one neighborhood behind and moving into a new one. So, change is hard for us, but we have to let things go so we make room for what's coming for us. When do I feel most empowered? That's a good one, too. Who do I feel most empowered around? So who supports you being your authentic self? And what daily practice might I bring in to support this next chapter of life? That's a good thing, because when we're making changes, when we're changing how we look at things, it's good to bring in a way for us to enact that change. So, for example, out of my personal life, I used to be a smoker, quite a heavy smoker for a long, long time. I started when I was a teenager because I thought it was cool. And so many, many years later, I'm like, okay, this is a problem, right? So when you're trying to quit, they give you all these tips and tricks to help when you're having a craving. You don't want to slip backwards. So instead of drinking coffee in the morning, I started drinking tea, because coffee I associated with, in the morning, having a cup of coffee and a cigarette. I mean, that was very routine, right? So to break that psychological connection, I had tea. Another one is when you do have a craving, do something else, like go take a walk, even if it's just walk around your backyard, but get out of the house, remove yourself from the situation. So, those are some things like when you're feeling vulnerable, enact some practices that'll help keep you on the path that you want to be on. Well, that ends today's episode. Our next episode is the new moon in Taurus, and that will air on May 19th. I hope you tune in. And remember, with astrology, you can chart your life's course.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Essential Zodiac Podcast. We have new episodes for you every other Friday with some special episodes in between. Cindy is on social media. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Essential Zodiac. And you can also catch this podcast as an audiogram on YouTube. Just look for Cynthia McNulty. This podcast is produced at Muddy Creek Studios.